Words have power, and I think we have not. This is crazy to me. Is that it took me like 30 years to discover that how powerful words are, and it actually annoys me, and I feel cheap. I feel shortchanged by the education system that nobody sat me down in 7th grade and said words are the most powerful thing in the world. Words are the most powerful thing because, and that maybe they did say that when they say like the pen is mightier than the sword, but they didn't give me all the reasons, all the tactical implications of words. First, like words, what are they if not just the manifestation of a thought communicated from one individual to another? And then those words, those thoughts that are communicated can be derived into actions. Actions then create whatever reality you want. But it starts with thoughts that then drive our words. And words are the vehicle through which we contain our thoughts. Now, it's this weird reciprocal relationship because in the same way that our thoughts forge our words can cycle back and form our thoughts. We've talked about how the human brain, like neuroplasticity, is a very real thing, and how when you have a thought, your brain encodes that neural network in a way that makes it easier to have that thought in the future. This is called the myelination process. So as you have a thought recur more frequently, it becomes encoded in this fatty substance called myelin, and then that thought is quicker and more likely to fire in the future. And so your thought becomes your words, and then those words that you repeat, they encode that thought rut into your brain. And it's this back and this forth. Now, you can use that. Most people don't know how to use that intentionally. And so they reinforce their negative beliefs, their limiting beliefs, the negative conversations happening inside their mind, because it's more acceptable to be your biggest critic than it is to be your biggest cheerleader. So most of us are comfortable dishing on ourselves rather than, building ourselves up. Most people feel very awkward about that idea, right? Like if you've ever tried affirmations, like staring yourself in the mirror and said, I am this type of person, I am strong, I am abundant, I am competent, and the universe wants me to win. And if you've ever felt uncomfortable by that, you are feeling the peer pressure that's been ingrained in your heart from society, not yourself. Why would you feel awkward talking to yourself in the mirror and, gassing yourself up? Why would that feel weird? In the same way that if you were to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you're a piece of shit, one of those maybe you've done before, right? Maybe you've not actually looked yourself in the mirror and said those words, but you've maybe thought that before, right? So that what you think becomes your reality in a very real way, and words are the vehicle through which those are translated from one individual to another. Now, if I want to communicate a powerful idea that impacts somebody else and makes them move, then I need to be very intentional about the words that I use. In the same way that if I want to impact my own behavior, I need to be careful with the words that I use. And so what prompted this is Anuj asked me, he pointed out that one of the things as I'm sitting down to do a podcast, I have a list of topics and ideas. And instead of saying, hey, give me an idea that inspires me, or hey, let's find something that's interesting, I always use a very particular phrase, which is, does this spark my soul with joy? And he's like, that's a really interesting phrase. And it's like, yeah, it is actually. I guess you could say it's kind of like Marie Kondo and like does this physical item that I own, does it spark my soul with joy? And if the answer is no, then why do you have it? Like fill your life with things that only spark you with joy. But it's a really powerful sentence. Does this spark my soul with joy? And I use that as a filter for doing a lot of things in life, right? Like Derek Sievers talked about this in his book, Hell Yeah or Hell No, which is if you're debating doing something, if it's not a hell yeah, let's do it, then it's a no. By default, it's a no. So only do hell yeahs. But for me, it's does this spark my soul with joy? Like, am I excited to do that? And this just goes back to the baseline skill that I wish somebody had taught me in the beginning of my life, or at some point much sooner than before I turned nearly 30 years old, was that you can change your reality. You can alter the universe around you with nothing more than changing the words that you use to express the thoughts inside your mind. Use bigger, more ambitious, more beautiful, more eloquent words, and your life becomes bigger, more ambitious, more eloquent as a consequence. If you only know how to communicate with swear words, if you're a simpleton that doesn't have a big lexicon, that is always using the negative words rather than the empowering words, it's no surprise that that's going to become the reflection of your reality. So use your words, learn how to use them, pick powerful words. And I'm not saying use big words to try and impress people, but to understand that words have power. When you sit down and you're saying, I just need to calm down, you need to calm down, use the word serenity. I'm looking for serenity. Just that one word hits me so much different than the word peace. I'm looking for serenity. Man, that's a powerful word. I feel like a physical change when I use that word, in the same way that if I want something to be wonderful or extravagant, I use those words rather than I want something to be great, right? Our words have power, so use the words that have the most power to move you towards your goals. I think that should be mandatory education class that we're taught in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade. I think it should be taught every single year from K through 12, because I think it's the most powerful skill that you can develop, which is the ability to transmute your thoughts into words that change reality. I don't know what else you could want from that. So that's going to do it for me, boys and girls. Go use better words.
Well, I have a question.
Oh, you do? Okay. Never mind. Stick around.
So then what are your thoughts on like hiring a speaking coach? Do you think that's like a pretty good idea?
Yeah. I mean, if anything that you want to improve at, you should invest in. And you invest in it by learning more about it, by having people look over your shoulder that are better at it, that can help you accelerate the process. Speaking, communication, storytelling, word selection, these are all skills. And that's another really powerful idea, is that everything in this life is a skill. Everything. It can be broken down into a functional activity that you do and that you can improve at. Anything that you do more times with enough intention and feedback loops, you can improve at. And so everything is a skill. Word selection is a skill. Your inner monologue is a skill. Your ability to communicate the words to other people in the spoken format, that's a skill. We call that speaking. To do the same thing through the written word, we call that writing, right? So you can improve all of these things. If you don't feel eloquent with your words, if you don't feel like you're a good speaker, then go find somebody who is and say, hey, work with me, help me. Like that'd be the most intuitive, natural place to start, rather than just trying to bang your head against a wall or doing what most people do, which is just accepting that they suck and then being like, it is what it is. It's like, I don't accept that. Like, it's okay to suck, but it's not okay to not improve. The more you think about it, like the crazier words become, because like words are the program through which we communicate ideas, right? It's JavaScript. It is C++ for the brain. If I want to program my brain, I use words. That's how I think. Like some people use images, right? Some people think in images, but like words are the container we use. And how we communicate those ideas to other people. So if we want to program somebody else, that's another way of thinking about communicating. Right? Like I'm trying to manipulate or persuade or influence somebody else's behavior. Another way to say it is like I'm trying to code a new way of operating. And the language I have to do that is my HTML, aka my words. Your words are the software code the virus that you're trying to plant in other people's brains. So the better you are with words, the better you are at constructing sentences and compelling ideas, the more viral those memes become. I mean, that's what a meme really is, right? Like not just like those images that we all see and we call memes now, but like memes actually go much further back to Rene Girard's mimetic theory, which is memes are, the way he put it is viral ideas that infect the masses. Religion is probably the most powerful meme of all time. Yeah. It's an idea that was transmuted through words into the brain of another person. You think about like politics. How did you become a Democrat? How did you become a Republican? Through words. Yeah. Everything is through words. And once you realize that, you go, oh, I really need to understand the source code, the language of the human brain, which is words. Not saying English, just understanding like how to communicate through the smallest block of language, which is a word. That's why I'm obsessed with them. I just think they're the coolest damn thing in the world.
Yeah, because they control everything.
They control everything. Once you realize that, you go, whoa, that's crazy. Yeah. Right? Because nobody tells you that. Nobody tells you that when you're in 7th grade, you're learning how to write an essay, or why they're teaching you English and teaching you how to put together a sentence. Like they don't teach you like this is the most powerful thing in the world. Most powerful.
Okay, got it. Because it's like the words are the core, the substance, and then your body language, your expressions, and everything else are kind of the amplifiers.
It's a delivery mechanism. Yeah. Yeah. So you have the message, but then you also have the vehicle through which the message is delivered. So I could tell you the building's on fire. That's a very different message than the building is on fire, or the building is on fire, or the building is on fire, right? Like there's so many different ways to communicate the same section of words. A word on its own, outside of context, has no power. That's a really important idea too, right? Like I just put this word on a table and it's not going to impact you. So it's only in context in relation to the other words around it. And then how those words are then communicated. And that can be through the written word. Now, the thing that people get tripped up with is like your grammar, your sentence structure, your punctuation. That's the formatting of the words of the sentence. Formatting is the body language of the written word, right? And so you need to have just as much emphasis on how do I structure this sentence for maximum impact. And most people don't know how to do that. And that was what they were trying to teach us in school, but we didn't understand why it was so damn important, right? And the same way that they teach us public speaking, and for most people, they're scared, they're deathly afraid of it. And it's so interesting because it's like, you're getting up there. You're the one that has the weapon right now, and you're afraid to use it. You're afraid to use the most powerful weapon any human has. I would be afraid of it too. If the first time I get on stage, you hand me a howitzer, I'm going to be like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this thing. I'm probably going to hurt myself, right? And that's how most people feel. They understand that I have this powerful tool intuitively, but they don't know how to wield it. And so it's overwhelming. And so then it flips and it feels like the audience has the power to judge them and cast them out from the tribe. But really the person on the stage has all the power. And I just don't think people realize that. Like if you were to tell somebody who has stage fright, listen, you're going up there right now, but you are the one in control. You have the power. They can't hurt you. You're the only one that can do any good or harm up there. Yeah. It's a crazy mental reversal. Yeah. But they don't teach us this. They don't frame it in this way in school. So we just think, oh, public speaking, that's for when I need to get on a stage and deliver a message so other people can judge me.